Right, here we are. The line you can see in the background is a road, or at least seems to be, that someone has hewn out of the rock. It goes all the way around this valley, even ending up on the large southern mountain over there. What would you do if you saw a similar road? Why, you'd put it on the list, eventually buy a proper motorcycle instead of a crappy little scooter, and you'd go exploring. And here it is. This is a Kove 525x. It's my new bike. It's a Chinese brand, and it is a very fair effort at a mid-range ADV bike. So I loaded it up with a bunch of camping stuff and set off nice and early. We set the sat-nav literally for the top of a mountain. So half of that road, according to the map, was rough as a badger's fingers. So we didn't know how slow the going would be, hence the early start. Joining me on today's motorcycle adventure is, of course, you, my dear viewer, but also two friends of mine, Andy Lennerton on a generic 150cc Chinese scooter, and my mate Hunter of Standing on a Sea Urchin fame. There he is. We ended up on that rough road and we didn't think it was too bad at all, but pretty quickly realised it was horrendous. We made it just a few metres up a slope before we decided to pull over and check the lay of the land. I almost got Hunter standing in poo there with the drone, but missed it. Sorry about that. Anyway, the road ahead of us was near impassable, well beyond our ability levels, and we should really not be attempting it at all. And you certainly shouldn't at home if you do have this road in your dwelling. But being stoics, we see the obstacle as the way. So we just headed at it, just went straight at it, just smashed it. And we got up there and we were rattling and jostling and bumping along, and it was fantastic. A steep and challenging mountain road with beautiful views in this beautiful landscape. It was a right old time. Now, my mate Hunter, he had never agreed to go camping. He was just out for a day trip, so he was all right. There he is, look. But my mate Andy at the back there and myself, we were planning to camp at the top. So we pulled over to have a little chat and say goodbye to our good friend Hunter. And pretty soon after that, Andy pulled over because he said the scooter was chafing his nuts, and he thumbed a lift with a 4x4. I set off by myself and immediately dropped my bike and realised it was too heavy to pick up with all of the equipment on it. But something wonderful and mysterious happened. Every single person who came by... Hey, it's too heavy to lift, mate. Yeah. Every single person who came by offered help and stopped for a little chat. That guy showed me he could do it on a worse bike. This guy showed me he could do it on a much better bike. And I was standing at the side feeling sorry for myself. This guy did it on a Ural with sidecar. Unbelievable. Tried to head up together with these guys, but they were just too fast. And anyway, if you're going to drop your bike and have a little break to let it cool down, then there's worse places to do that. Anyway, eventually we got going again. And you can see here how tricky it is. Even these very capable 4x4s are struggling with the ruts and the rocks in this road. Anyway, a little way ahead, I got to a fork in the road, and we weren't making good time. So our original plan to head over to Big Southern Mountain over there was looking doubtful. And there was a choice. Left fork, go to the nearer peak. Right fork, go to the original plan and go further another 5 or 6 hours. We caught with these guys. Of course, they were mentalists. They were going to the further peak. And we elected to go to the nearer one because we weren't sure what the weather was going to do and if we had time. If you've never challenged yourself on this type of road and you enjoyed the mixture of fear and focus in my eyes there, then you should definitely come and try it. Probably the best road I've found in southern China anyway, in Guangdong, I should say, not southern China. Since Andy had got out at the fork from his hitched ride, he was walking along here, so I had plenty of time to pose for camera. And here's the end of the road, if you can see it through this murky, misty drone footage I nicked off my mate. He was one of the guys who helped me pick up my bike. He proceeded to Photoshop me into oblivion later, which I found out and also found quite amusing. Anyway, I hung out with them until Andy turned up, and we made our way to the top of the mountain to find a very flat and comfortable emplacement for our tents. None of those were available, so we set about putting our tents on the roughest, tallest, thickest grass we could find on the side of the mountain, which made it next to impossible to pitch the tent correctly. And as you can see, the weather was turning, and our dreams of having a beverage and a lovely view were fading into the distance. I got my tent about workable, and then set about helping Andy with his borrowed tent. And then we caught a bit of a break. Quite literally, there was a break in the cloud. So all we had to do really was finish setting up the tents and stow our equipment, and find a nice spot to sit down and enjoy the view. What a view! Unbelievable. Look at those various hues of blue and purple as the mountain ranges disappear into the distance, flowing one into the other. Magical. Of course, that wasn't going to last, because when you get overexcited about things, life tends to give you a slap in the face and a scratch on the ankle from a bramble. But as I mentioned earlier, we like to head straight forth into adversity. So we found a spot to sit.
Cheers. Cheers.
Had a little beverage. What is it?
Looks like puke.
Looks like puke, you say. But
a lovely Baileys.
It's actually a lovely Baileys.
The view's back.
Everyone likes a Baileys, don't they? I bet you wish you had a Baileys right now. Anyway, the view wasn't what we expected, but it was absolutely worth it. We strung a yarn for many an hour, and eventually the evening closed in. So it was time to go to bed and not sleep a single wink all bloody night. Get yourself outside!